Sounds good.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Getting Started podcast. I'm here with Richard Kahanek. And guys, he's one hell of a dude, man. He's CEO of SooperBro Marketing, CEO of Gold Star Recovery, Super Cash Recovery. And y'all, coming in November is Richard's newest endeavor, the Problem Solver. Richard, man, welcome to the show, brother. How you doing this evening?
Hey, it's going great, Sean. How are you?
Oh, man, I can't complain, can't complain. Here I live here in Tennessee, and fall is officially kicked in, man, which means our skies will be gray from now until February. And so I'm really looking forward to that. But hey, other than that, man, I'm good. Family's good. Happy to be here.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, it's getting that way around here as well. So it's some fun times, fun weather. Just how it goes.
So all right, man. Tell me a little bit what you got going on here, man. We got Super Bro Marketing. Is
Yeah, I
it?
have it's a marketing agency. It's one of the smaller projects, and I use it to market for my other companies mainly. But I also bring on outside clients.
Hey, man, that's the way to do it, man. Keep it all in a cyclical, cycle there, and everything starts to work for itself after a while.
Absolutely.
Um, Cash recovery, man. I see you just opened this about a year ago.
Hmm.
Um, and I know I've recently discovered a lot of other people I'm sure don't know anything about it, but a lot of people out there do have cash that they don't know about and assets that they don't know about. And that's what you do is you go out and you find these assets and return them to the customers.
Hmm.
Uh, so how does that usually tend to work out? Like is it through the, money they get forgot about with the IRS, or is it just like inheritances that don't get passed along?
Okay, so that's kind of foggy there, right? Because on those particular projects, there are certain laws that are stringent that are in place. So we don't typically target the the people that maybe have money that coming from the IRS or um, inheritances, unless that inheritance is in the millions, right? Uh, because we have a fee that is contingent upon recovery of the actual uh, claim, right? So when it comes down to it, if we're getting 10% and somebody's getting $1,000 back, we get $100 from that, right? So when it comes down to the people that are in place, the paying out the staffing, those really don't bring a really great return. But what we do is we target specifically those that have lost their homes in tax sales, and we get a lot better percentage on our fee there as the law states that we are able to do, and then from there we're able to essentially recover some nice amounts of money, especially since this is coming from real estate.
Okay. And so when you recover, are you recovering the actual asset of the home, or are you recovering the cash value of what the home is?
Okay, so this is specific to the government, right?
Okay.
So let's say they went delinquent on their taxes, right? They say they have a $200,000 home, right?
Okay.
The government auctions it off because it's, let's say it's $2,000 delinquent in taxes, and they lose $200,000 worth of equity off of $2,000 in taxes, which is terrible, right? So an investor comes along that purchases the property, and they get a huge deal on this property, right? And what happens at that point is, let's say they purchase it, they get it at 50% market value. So they purchase this home for 100 grand. And then from there, what happens is there's a $98,000 surplus that stays with the government. And so we audit the government records and we locate these amounts. They generally are 10,000 plus. And we've had claims in the half a million mark. Yeah, we've had nice claims there. And what we do is we turn around and we reach out to the people that this money is owed to, because they don't always know that it's owed to them. They also don't always know that it even existed in the first place, right? Uh, to them, they just lost their home, and now that they're out, they work 30, 40 years to pay off a $200,000 mortgage, and then they lost their home because they just went through hardship and couldn't get their taxes paid. So government came, snatched it up, and they're still owed a significant portion of that money. The government can only take what the taxes were, right? So they auction it off, and these auctions go ridiculous. And they start the taxes. They started off at what the tax was. Let's say it says we're starting the bidding off at $2,000 for this $200,000 home. A bidding war ensues, and investors hike that price up. The government collects all of it, but they can't keep all of it. At least not until the statute of limitations is there, and then they get to pocket it.
Oh, okay, I see. Well, that's pretty neat, man. I never really looked at it like that before, but it makes a lot of sense, and that's actually a pretty cool service, man. It really is. I wonder, like I said, I'm sure there are lots of people out there that really don't know what this is all about. Like I said, I was thinking inheritances and stuff like that, and you just came at it from a whole nother angle. So, I mean, yeah, that's really awesome, dude.
Oh, for sure, man. So, yeah, we have a lot of stuff going on, man, and a lot of projects, and we're just constantly building revenue sources, and every single revenue source just about is a high paying revenue source. So we don't mess with the small time. We don't mess with people paying $30, $40. We go into the thousands.
Nice. All right, man. Cool. So all right, man. Let's hit the rewind button here a little bit, man. Give me a little bit about your background, man. Growing up, were your parents entrepreneurs? Were you in like a rough spot financially? Did you happen to be one of those kids that kind of sort of always seemed to be the friend that had the money, or like give me a little background, man. How was growing up, and how was some of the life experiences that got you to this point where you're at now?
So growing up, my family, the family that I came from, they experienced some bad financial situations prior to even having me, which means that once they started getting their stuff together, they started to save. They just saved. And they took on odd jobs. They're mowing extra people's lawns, they're cleaning houses, they're doing contract work from outside companies, just little jobs that pay maybe an extra $1,000 a month. And they begin to stack. And that's what it's all about for them. So I was at the point where I was just like, hey, I got to save too, and I think a lot differently than my family does, because they're still all about the save, right? They're less about the, go out there and multiply your income than they are about the saving. The saving is top notch for them, because they're like, we're saving for a future. And that's totally understandable. A lot of people can do that. A lot of people can relate, but those people are not the entrepreneurs. Those are the people that want to live day to day and then retire and then live off savings and retirement and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of that old school mentality. I know my dad was real big on that. Even to this day, man, my dad's got a ledger that goes back to 1957. He can tell you where he spent every penny, what he spent it on, where he was living at the time, and it's absolutely crazy, because that's sort of what we were taught when I was a kid. Grow up, save your money. But we kind of don't live in a world where saving your money is a good thing. It's always great to have an emergency little nest egg or something like that. But when you're just constantly saving your money, A, you're not really getting to enjoy the money that you're making. And B, it's not doing nothing for you. It's just sitting there waiting on the day where you're going to retire. I mean, if you do that, you're going to work every day till you're dead, really.
Yeah, keeping your money in the bank is probably one of the worst things that you could possibly do with your money. But because as time goes by and inflation goes by, the interest that you make on that bank account is a lot less than the inflation will be in 20 years from now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I can look at that. I can attest to that from personal experience. I think I had my first bank account. I was about 15 years old, had a little part-time job, went out there, put some money in the bank. And I don't know what the actual interest rate was, but I know that I left like $100 sitting in there for, I don't know, 6 months or something like that. And I had a fairly decent little interest rate, I guess, that went with it because when I went to go cash it out, I think I had like an extra 50 or $60 in there. But like I know my current interest rate is like 0.02% or something crazy like that. And it's like that does nobody a lick of good anywhere.
No, not anymore. That's where I come from, and they've managed to do okay for themselves with that in that regard. Me personally, when it comes down to saving, I throw money in investments, stocks, bonds, foreign exchange markets, and that's my savings.
Hey, there you go.
So yeah, that's where we go from there, man. The bank is just an avenue to spend your money. That's it. You put it in the bank, you spend it. And you don't necessarily want to spend all your money, right? Because especially if you're just getting started out, this, you don't want to spend all your money. You want to make sure that you're cutting costs where you can. If you want to escape that 9 to 5, cut those costs, and you save what you can, and then invest it.
Yeah, I can totally agree to that, and man, that's definitely a great way to have outlook on the money. A lot of people don't. I think it's becoming maybe more. I don't want to say trendy. Maybe kind of becoming more of a modern practice to think about money in terms of things like that versus letting it sit in the bank. But I know that there's a lot of guys out there that are still no, I'm just going to put it in the bank, put it in the bank, put it in the bank. But it is what it is, and that maybe somebody listening to this might take that into account and maybe they never thought of it before. So, anyways, sorry, man. How old were you when you kind of realized that the 9 to 5 wasn't going to be for you? Like, did you have a first job that really kind of left a bad taste in your mouth? Most of us do. I know my first job was I was washing dishes on, weekends every morning on the weekends, Saturday and Sundays for this little rinky-dink restaurant in the middle of Podunk nowhere. And it was great at 14, 15. I was making money. I never made money before. That was a new thing. But I remember leaving that job, a year or two later. I was just like, I hate this place. I absolutely hate this whole process, this whole system, man. Like, did you have that job that kind of gave you that bitter taste towards it? Or did you just kind of know from like an early age that you wanted to go into something where you were kind of in control of your own financial situation?
So I realized that around 18, but it was not a very pretty sight, right? My very first job, I was 15, and I was leveling houses, which is hard labor work. That's not something I wish on anybody right now. You're lifting up heavy blocks, you're doing all this stuff. I was 15. My very first day on the job, I was hardcore. I was like, yeah, I'm working. The next day it rained, so there was no work. But I was cool with that because when I tried to get out of bed, I couldn't even walk. I was so sore. So, this is that was kind of, I've been working from an early age. I think I helped my parents with some of their side gigs whenever I was, I was like 9 and 10 years old, and I was helping them with side gigs that they had, and they would pay me per bundle, which is kind of what sparked, I think, a kind of an entrepreneur mindset there, is because they took on as the side to make extra money. For me, I was like, hey, everything that I do is going to make me an extra $9, right? Every little bundle of wires that I'm able to twist up and get ready for soldering on circuit boards, that's going to make me an extra $9. And I'd go through bundles after bundles and get a little $90 cash payouts here and there. I'm just like, yeah, 9 and 10 years old, I'm saving a little bit. Of course, a lot of that probably went to video games, but yeah, that was a fun thing for me at the time, but as far as when I knew I wanted it, I was about 18. I tried to start up multiple businesses, all these little reselling things, retail. going door to door with the catalog, saying, "Hey, look, I got these products here. Would you look through this and order for me?" And that stuff, it was there, it made a little extra money, and it also helped because the company I was with gave me some nice discounts on stuff. So
Nice.
I had that as well. It never made enough to replace my full-time job though. I worked as a corrections officer for a while. About 2 years I did that. That was not very fun. It was an experience, but it wasn't very fulfilling, right? You're keeping people locked up all day. That's not really.
Oh, yeah. My little brother actually just turned in his resignation from that exact same job about 2 weeks ago. So he's been wanting to be a police officer his whole life, and that's where he had to start out. And he said, "Yeah, it's a different world in a correctional facility." I was just like, "I bet." So what was kind of the straw that sort of like the final straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak? Like, just kind of a eureka moment that you had, or was it just like a really shitty day and you were just like, "Fuck this! I'm not doing it no more. I'm doing it my way." Like, what was your biggest trigger that really pushed you over the edge?
Well, I was working in a manufacturing at a factory, right? And I was working night shift. I switched to a night shift prior to meet the actual shift differential of 50 cents an hour. And I switched to the night shift. I'm sitting there working nights, and I ended up in a pretty bad financial situation, and where I owed about $75,000, and I was going to get sued if I couldn't pay it.
Ooh.
And yeah, that was a big wake up call. So I had a night job. So guess what? I had a day job for making sales, right? I had a day job, and I had to go out and get this, right? I was doing credit card processing, sales. It wasn't very nice, right? And there was some days you didn't make anything at all, right? Other days you made $50. On good day, you might make $900, depending on what kind of system you sold, right?
Yeah.
But those were not very great, right? And then the company that I was with, to boot, they would set the appointments for you, but they would set appointments in a way that made it harder to get the sale because their appointments were based on fear. So they're like, "Hey, if you don't come meet with our rep and talk about this Durbin Amendment, you're going to be in trouble." And they made it sound they didn't quite lie to people, but they also portrayed it in a way that scared them to make them think that they were going to be in trouble with the law, right? They were so vague with what they had. It made it seem like if you don't listen here, you're going to be sued or something, And,
Okay. So there was definitely no full disclosure going on then.
No, absolutely not. And so I showed up for the appointments thinking that everything was good. And then then they're like, "Oh, this is a sales call?" So I'm like, "Well, yeah." So we went through, and I actually started listening. I was like, "Hey, can I listen to some of the calls with the appointments that you guys are setting?" And I listened to it, and I'm just like, "Oh no, sorry, I can't operate on this capacity here. You guys are going to make close rates go extremely low and everything else." So I quit doing that. I got involved in Cutco. I was selling knives, right?
Nice.
Cutco.
Everybody knows Cutco.
Oh, yeah. And I was doing that. I was doing okay. I didn't do it all the time. But around that time, I ended up needing to pay off a $75,000 debt that I accrued on accident, right?
Yeah, of course.
It's always accident. And so I was like, what am I going to do? So I dropped $3,000 to franchise out a debt collection sales team, right? And I went out there. We're hitting up hospitals. We're hitting up different places. And we're like, "Hey, listen, you need collections." Long story short, we can go through that whole program, but that's not really too relevant right now. The whole point was it's kind of a Costco for debt collection.
Okay.
So, you get discounted debt collection services at a membership of $400 a year. You get paid from that membership. It's $480, and they would pay me $400 a sale, and
Nice.
then you get some residuals off of that too. And that's where it really hit big. And before long, it took several months, before I built a pipeline. I had to learn a whole new game. I had to learn phone sales. I had to learn cold calling.
Ooh.
Yeah, I had to learn. Yeah, it was ridiculous, right? And it was tough. But if you're building a pipeline consistently, then you can maximize your sales potential, because there's a sales cycle involved with a lot of these things. Everything has a sales cycle involved, just about everything. And it takes follow-up calls. I went through calls with people that took 6 months to close. Some of them closed within a week. Some of them took 6 months. Some of them took a year, right? And through that whole process, I was able to close enough sales to gradually pay off that $75,000 debt. And at that point, I'm just like, man, I'm sitting here, sometimes I'm hitting $1,200, $1,600 days, right? I'm like, what do I want to, why would I give this up? Why would I stop doing this now, right? And I continued to go on, and I kept my job. I kept my night job through this entire process. I began to outsource my sales, and now I just have people running that business for me. I don't have to touch it. I spend 2 hours a month on it, max.
Sweet.
And it builds a nice cash flow as well, as you get paid $400 per year per client. So yeah, I mean it's a decent residual. It's not too great. I went through a lot of crap to get there. I went through sleepless. I slept like 2 to 4 hours a day during an average week, and I would wake up to the phone ringing, and it'd be a potential client on the line or an existing client, and I'd answer the phone like a complete fool, from a sleepy stupor, right? So I went through a lot of crazy emotions, man, and that would be the biggest breaking point, to where I kind of stumbled into it, learned skills that I otherwise would have never gotten. I would have never had the experience to do that. Even when I was selling credit card processing with Cutco, when I was selling all these different things, that I had led up to this point, I didn't know how to actually make a sale. I didn't know how to handle objections in a proper way. Cutco, they go over like 6 objections that you're gonna get. That's what they do. They have a process for it. But as far as everything else, I didn't know how to handle all these other objections. They didn't really handle how to talk to a spouse. They didn't, how to get that objection. Hey, I need to talk to my spouse first before I make this decision. Because when you're on a demo, that you got to close something right there. You got to get that order, because then you may never see them again. Right? I mean, that's just how it goes. You can follow up with them. There's some all-star Cutco sales reps out there, but at the same time, when you look at the commission that you get on those, it's a one-time commission. You get some kind of residual if they order more products, but let's say they want an extra knife and they spend $100 on the knife, you might get a surprise $50 payout.
Man, I can totally relate to that. My first legal 100% tax-paying job, I sold Kirby vacuums door to door, man. I was that guy. I walked up with my little vacuum cleaner box and my little accessory kit. Hi, I'd like to show you this brand new cleaning system. And it teaches you the hustle. It teaches you the grind. It teaches you to be consistent. Because, I mean, I might change things up here a little bit, house to house. But for the most part, you're doing the same thing. You're going in, hey, this is what I got. Check it out. This is how it can help you. This is how it benefits you. And, I ended up being pretty good at it. Didn't do it for too very long, though, because I was a kid in high school, man. Kind of hard to get out there and sell things to housewives who are, stay-at-home moms and stuff like that when it's, dinner time. Because that's the one time you can't really get a stay-at-home mom to sit down to do anything, because she's got 5 billion things already happening, and you're not going to make that list. But there are very valuable lessons to be learned doing the door-to-door sales and especially doing the cold calling that you were talking about, man. I've done that before. I hate it. I cannot stand cold calling. I hate getting cold calls myself. But it teaches you to be persistent. You might get hung up on 100 times. You might get some choice words thrown your way. But eventually somebody's going to be like, oh, yeah, okay, let me go get my credit card.
Absolutely.
It might take 100 calls. It might take 200 calls. It might take 1,000 calls. Hopefully not, but so, it sounds to me like you kind of built all this sort of just kind of by your bootstraps, like, all right, this is what I got to do. Let me figure out how to do this. Let me figure out how to do this. Let me figure out how to do this. And just slowly built your, like, did you have a mentor behind you kind of teaching you these ropes, or were you just like out there basically free running the whole time?
So it was free running. I wish I could have had a mentor along the way, right? I mean, something I wish would have been something that I had at my disposal. Mentors are a very good thing. I think one of the differences is personality types come into play. Do you need that mentor to get off the ground, or do you have that motivation? Do you have the mental capacity to get by that? Right? What is really holding you back? Is it something you can fix yourself, or do you need someone to help you along the way with that? Do I wish I would have had a mentor? Absolutely, right? I think my biggest mentor was probably YouTube videos and free articles, right?
Hey, there you go, man.
Online.
Hey, it's getting started, man. So everybody's got to start somewhere, and that's a great way to go. But that's how I really got started into all this, man. YouTube, people don't even realize YouTube has so much information now. And a lot of people they click on a video and they're like, oh, I bet it looks like bullshit. That looks like bullshit. That looks like bullshit. And they just go down this list, and they never allow any of that new information to get into their head. They never take a chance. And that was what I had to do. Was I started, coming from a background of either, retail service work, food service work, or, construction, hard labor. I don't really know anything about marketing. I don't know anything about sales in this modern era. Like I said, I was a door knocker. I went door to door. First time I heard the word sales funnel, I was like, what in the hell are they talking about? But there is a vast amount of information on YouTube, and people listening, if they'll just even jump on YouTube for an hour a day to take the chance to learn something new, anybody can really turn their life around if they do that. I think I made a post about it this morning. If you can give an hour a day, an hour of your day to building on yourself, improving on yourself, learning a new skill, and just educating yourself on a particular marketplace or a particular venture, over time, that little bit just keeps adding up until eventually one day you're going to wake up and you're going to just know how to do it.
Some things take practice, right? I mean, it's one thing to learn, but another thing to practice and to hone that skill, right? If you look at any artist industry, right? Nobody was able to pick up that oil painting brush and create something that could be like Leonardo da Vinci right off from the very first time they picked up that paintbrush. Sure, they may have been good. They may have been okay, right? But as they continue to progress and build on their skills, they see that these skills become honed, and now they're creating masterpieces. You look at people, even the great artists, you look at like Monet, you look at Picasso, and even Van Gogh, right? People will talk about it. They're going to be like, okay, this was early in Vincent Van Gogh's career, right? He never got paid from a single painting, right? But they're going to say this was early on when he first started painting, and this was when he developed his skills more. And everything takes cultivation. It doesn't happen by itself. I don't care how many articles you read, YouTube videos you listen to, unless you put it into practice, you're not going to be able to hone a skill the way it needs to be honed unless you actually put it into practice.
Touché.
Right. Uh, now, we have so many different things caught up. Like you want to do Facebook ads? All right, cool. Right. But how are you going to start charging $1,000 a month front? You don't know how to do a Facebook ad.
Exactly.
If you're right, if you've seen videos on it, if you read how to do it, how are you going to charge $1,000 a month still? You don't know what results you're going to get, right? You don't understand all the analytics involved. You don't understand the cost per click. You've seen a little bit about it. You're like, okay, let's get this cost per click down, right? But if the offer's no good, the difference is going to be dramatic, right? That everything changes. You see case studies out there from different producers, people doing different things. You see case studies, and it's like, okay, I mean, that's nice. Can you do that for me? They use these case studies as sales, but at the same time, they use their successes. They might have 1,000 clients, and 10 of those clients might have been good. They use those 10 as case studies. What happened to all the other ones?
Exactly.
Right. So,
and that kind of leads me into a question that I get asked quite a lot, actually. People ask me all the time, when you're first jumping into getting into this, how do you go through all these, supposed coaching programs or supposed mentor programs, or these supposed, self-improvement, self-help guru mastermind programs? How do you decipher what of that is bullshit versus what of that, is actually people trying to help others who don't know what they're doing or have never done it before?
It's interesting. You need to look at what they have already, right? I mean, you look at certain mentors, and when I say mentors, I'm not talking about the mastermind groups, right? Mastermind groups can play such a vital role in the development of a company. And the reason is because you're taking several different ideas from people that are already doing it, right? And you're able to provide value for other people, right? These groups can be astronomical in value. But when you talk about mentorship, is you wanna pay a business coach, right? A business mentor. You want to pay them to come around and help you make your business successful. Well, that's all great, right? But how's their business doing? Right? I mean, are they just trying to fluff you up? I mean, how's it really going to happen? I very rarely take on new students, right? It's not something I really do. It is something I will do on occasion, but they have to have a drive. They have to have a hunger for it, right? If they're just like, "Hey, can you take me?" Like, what do you want to do? Oh, I just want to be comfortable, right? You want to be comfortable. The road to comfort is not comfortable.
No, nobody's
right. And they're expecting. You have to see what their expectations are. I see a lot of people. They're just putting out courses, and all these courses are, what is it really? They're selling outdated data. And they're putting it in a course. They're selling it for $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, right? And then people get it and they're like, it's okay. I learned 2 things that could help me, but most of it was stuff I knew. And this is why I don't really want to focus on courses. I'd rather focus on helping people in a custom manner, because everybody's different. Business, while it's all going to have the same principles, each different business is going to have its different set of challenges. So, you have people saying, "Hey, pay me $1,500, and I'm going to give you access on how to start an agency, an ad agency." Right? They do okay. They go through 10 hours of materials, but they miss a lot of subject matter. They might tell you, "Here's how you do it. Now go out there and get clients," but they don't teach you how to get a client.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they have all these different things. If you're kind of probably referring to scams, right?
Yeah, to a degree. So, and I know when I first started really looking into all this, before I kind of knew what I was even supposed to be looking for at all. Like, I know there were several times, you'll see those videos pop up on YouTube, man, how to make $100 a day from the comfort of your living room. And you're like, all right, well, that'd be kind of cool to see. I'd like to be able to do that. You click on the video and you watch, this 10, 15-minute video of some guy going over, well, I started a Amazon e-store account and I started selling products that I was picking up at Walmart for double the price and all this other crap. The people who try to go out there and do it, and they spend all this money, trying to resell, and they're picking up products at what they think are discounted prices and trying to upsell it, and they just end up going broke. And I mean,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's a lot out there. There's a lot out there, man. I mean, you see, and unfortunately, a lot of these are straight up pyramids, man. Like there's not even, an MLM is one thing. It is not to be confused with a pyramid, but at the end of the day, you're going to see things that are like, yeah, purchase this for $2,000, and then you get to promote it, and you get to make money off of these sales. So you buy it at $2,000, somebody else gets paid $2,000, right? And then they go in it, they don't make any sales, and it really is a scam. It's a scheme, right? And it's those are the ones that really get on my nerves, man. I see if you come up to a business opportunity online and it tells you, it doesn't give you anything on what you're going to be doing. It just says, here, pay this money here. And then from this money, we're going to show you how to do it. If it doesn't give you any kind of idea on what's really happening here, don't get in it. An MLM is going to be upfront with you, right? They're going to tell you, hey, we have, you purchase this many amounts of, every month you purchase this much wine, and then you go out and sell memberships, and then you get money based on that. Okay, cool, right? It tells you at least a little bit of what it's about. But if it just tells you, hey, purchase this, it's X amount of dollars, $37, $47, 1,000, whatever the case is, but they give you no clear path on what you'll be doing, do not invest in that program. Do not do it, because it's 99% of the time it will be a pyramid.
Yeah, I can definitely, especially nowadays, we got these online courses that have literally become the biggest trend I've seen in a while. At this point, I think everybody's got a course for everything. There's just a lot of information out there that if you're not careful, you get caught up in, and they will take every dime you've got, because some people don't really care about, helping people and getting them on this journey the correct way. They want that money, and as soon as they got their money, you're just another number in their bank account.
Absolutely, that's what it's about, man. They're gonna live that particular lifestyle. They're gonna get people, and they know it. And a lot of it just boils down to using common sense, man. Which I know a lot of people don't have. Granted, right? But if you can look at something and if it looks like a scam, if it feels like a scam, it's probably a scam. I mean, I really don't care if somebody's nice and friendly to you. Don't fall for these love scams, right? Don't fall for that. I've actually recently, over the past couple of days, I've been getting hit up by a lot of people that are from other countries, and they're just giving me straight up sob stories. And I'm like, where do these people even come from? Right.
Yeah.
And every single one of them, they're like, hey, one of them's sitting there, oh, my family died, so can you help me get into school? I'm like, I don't know you. You what? Someone else is like, hey, my visa is about to expire in the country that I'm in. Can you help with me with $8,000? I'm like, just what? And they're just straight up asking. They're not trying to sell anything, right? They're not trying to. I mean, granted, they're in a fast-paced scam environment where it works on some people, and then they move on, right? If it doesn't work with them, they move on. And hey, if they hit 1%, if they get 1% of the people falling for their stuff, they're still doing okay.
It's true. That's very true.
Right. But and what really gets me though is I see people, they want the entrepreneurial lifestyle, right? They want that, but they're not willing to do what it takes. I see, I know you mentioned you hate cold calls. just hate cold calling, right? Unfortunately, it's just another way of life, I hate getting up in the morning. I still do it. So when it comes down to your business, are you going to be tenacious about what you do? Or are you going to cold message? Are you going to cold call? Are you going to cold email? Are you going to do it? That's the key. Are you going to actually do it? Everybody wants to. They think they're going to invest in a business opportunity and they're going to sit back and watch the money roll in. That's not the case. I don't care if it's a pyramid scheme. If you don't try, it's not going to work.
No, you still got to take action. You still got to do the work and put the work in. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen. Like, anyone can plant the seed, but if you want to reap the harvest, you've got to grow the seed.
That's for sure.
Sorry, man. Last but not least here, man, what is the best advice you could offer to someone who's out there, they're working a 9 to 5, maybe they've got, a wife or a girlfriend, someone may have a kid. What's the best advice you can give to them to really push them? Like, they know what they're doing is getting them by, but they know they want more. They want to take on this entrepreneurial life, so to speak. They want the lifestyle of it. And they just don't know how to get into that route. Like, they don't know, whether they should look into real estate. They don't know whether they should look into, just opening a business selling products or whatever it might be that they want to try to do. What advice can you give to them that would be your best key piece of advice on getting started with this journey?
Okay, so there's going to be a couple of different groups, even more than that, but we'll go through the most common, right? We're going to go with those that are just 9 to 5, paycheck to paycheck, and then those that are 9 to 5, but they have some capital, right? So if you are going 9 to 5 and you're just barely making ends meet, right? You don't have any savings, you don't have anything to invest in yourself, right? Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get out there and find something to bring in extra income and then cut back on your cost. Are you paying $200 a month for cable? Get a cheaper plan. You're not watching TV all the time. In fact, if you want it, you're going to not watch TV that much at all, right? So why even have that at all? I mean, maybe you have a family, right? And maybe they want stuff. Hey, tell them, hey, listen up. You're going to be limited to Netflix, Hulu, and the news. That's it. I mean, and those things are going to be combined. You might end up paying, well, Netflix and Hulu, the news is usually free, right? You can catch that anywhere. So you have Hulu and Netflix, and you're paying what, maybe $30 a month instead of
probably about $30 a month,
right? So you cut that out. I mean, that's what you do. You cut that out for what you can. You make cut costs where you can. Tell everybody.
Richard, your microphone just kind of went all haywire on me, buddy.
A little bit better?
Oh, yeah, there we go. Much better.
Okay. So.
All right, so you're talking about cutting costs.
Yeah, cut those costs, right? If you live in paycheck to paycheck, you need to cut costs. You got to do it, right? And then when it comes down to your time investment, if you're working 9 to 5, that means you got to find something in the evenings that you can do, right? You got to find something. Now, let's say you work at a 9 to 5, you don't have access to your phone almost during that entire time, right? You're busy working with your hands, you're doing whatever. That means that when you get off at work at 5 p.m. and you go to do something at 6, guess what? You got another job, right? Now, there's going to be people out there working 2 jobs to make ends meet. And those people, they're going to have to just cut costs and try to build up some capital. All along the way, you want to make sure you're capitalizing on the free resources that you have. any business articles, any YouTube videos that you can watch. Uh, keep your sales. Focus heavily on sales skills, right? Learn your sales skills because without that, your business is not going to flourish, right? If you want to say, I mean, work on that. Work on ad copy, right? And that's going to be a bootstrap move right there, right? Because essentially, you want someone else doing this for you. You don't want to be doing this yourself because otherwise, you're just trading in one job for another job,
Exactly.
right? So you need to be able to scale it to a point of automation. And whether that automation is someone else doing it for you that you pay, or if it's software that you utilize, that I mean that's really up to you. It depends on your business model, but you need to be able to always constantly invest in yourself. So for the person that has nothing to spend, cut costs, find some side work, and then invest in yourself. Right? It's gonna be a time process. It's not gonna happen overnight. If you're an easy quitter, then stay where you're at. You know, don't make any risk if you know you can't do it. Right? Focus on changing your mindset first. Change your mindset first, and then go into bigger, better things. Now, for those that let's say they have a job, they have a nice savings, they don't live paycheck to paycheck. Um, Now, for these people, always invest in yourself. Invest in yourself first, um, and that sometimes that might mean getting a course. It might mean, and when you get a course, just be careful. Make sure that you know other skills, right? So make sure you know your sales skills before you get into a job, before you get into a business that requires hard sales, right? I mean, you don't want to have zero sales skills, but be trying to sell a $20,000 product because
There
then
you
you're
go.
never going to make a sale, right? Um, the other thing is, let's say you have a business model, then you know it depends how much capital you have, right? Because then you could go into real estate, but keep in mind that that's a cash flow business, right? You want to flipping houses, it's only so much, right? You have one project. After you're done, right?
Yeah.
You don't have any residual cash flow from that. So make sure you get into buy and hold, right? You rent those properties out. You rent out units, right? You're renting out quadplexes, duplexes here, and then you're getting. Let's say you have a mortgage on it. Let's say you want to finance it. That's fine, right? Now you have $1,000 a month mortgage on a property, but you have 1,800 coming in. So you use 1,000 of that to pay that. Now you got $800 a month coming in from that, right?
Exactly.
You utilize this method as well. You want to start a business that goes hardcore, then you have to work at it. You know, if you want to get extra, the biggest recommendation that I'm going to have though is to go into a job that pays commission only, right? Commission only and residuals. Residual commission. You go into that. If you don't have resources to get started doing something on your own, you get the job, but it's commission only, but in residuals as well. Okay. Uh, so this could be something like insurance, which is tough. I don't really recommend insurance because it is so hard to get sales in that no matter how good you are, it's still going to be rough, right? Um, However, on that same note, it's going to have people paying you year after year, but that also requires you staying in your business if you want that, right? Because if you let your insurance license lapse, you're not getting paid. I don't care what company you're with, you're not getting paid from it. Um, I would say you can look into MLMs, but understand that MLM is not a pyramid, but it can be very similar, right? This is why most MLMs fall apart. Most MLMs will fall apart. Some of them are going to take years and some of them are going to take months. Every pyramid scheme is going to fall apart very quickly. An MLM will fall apart, but it's going to be a lot slower unless you have momentum and you have a product that everybody wants or needs. Everybody on it wants or needs it, right? So there are a few MLMs that you can get into. I would recommend. I would really recommend World Ventures as one. It's a travel club. It gives some wholesale travel discounts. It's freaking great. I don't promote it myself, but that is one that I would really look into. Um, that one is always gaining momentum. You get some cheap travel, right? It has a product that everybody wants. So even if you choose to not promote it, you're probably keeping that membership, right? And so will the people that you bring on. The other thing is understand your target market, whether you're starting your business or you're selling for someone else. You can go for very high paying commissions, right? But you got to understand who you're talking to, right? I have a guy. He wants to help everybody he can. It's a very noble cause, right? And he changes his direction a little bit, right? He still has it in his mind to help a lot of people come up, right? The biggest thing is make sure you're helping winners, at least at first, right? You want to help winners win more, right? And that kind of excludes MLMs though, right? You want to go to people that are making $1 million a year. You want to sell them a valuable service, and you want to help them win more because they're going to stay with you. You don't want to go to somebody that's barely making ends meet and try to sell them something that is $200 a month, because they're not going to buy it. They're just going to waste your time, right?
Makes sense, man.
And so if you can understand who you're selling to, you can make a killing, right? Just make sure you keep it valuable so that you don't lose these people. And they're always based on residuals. I mean, that's, the 80-20 rule, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that applies to almost everything in life, right? Have you gone over this with your listeners before, man?
I have not gone over with the listeners yet. Touched on it, I think, in an interview or two beforehand, but I haven't really gone over it. Haven't gone in depth with it. Basically, it's the way I understand it, at least, is out of 100% of people, 80% of them you can sell. 20% you'll never be able to sell to at all, no matter what you do. Or do I have that backwards?
No, well, you actually have a pretty good point there. On that particular note, I'll put it this way. The 80, where it applies to in sales, it's really 80-10-10, right? So you have 10% yesers. They're going to say yes 100% of the time. You could sell them a pile of crap, and they will say yes, right? Or you could sell them something great, and they're going to say yes. Then you have 10% that are going to say no. You can say, I'm going to give you $1 million. And they're going to be like, no, thank you. No, I'm not interested, right? And then you have 80% that are on the fence. They can be sold. And it all depends on you. Right? And that's just one aspect. But it depends on the situation where you're at. If you own a restaurant, 80-20 rule applies, because 80% of your revenue is going to come from 20% of your customers, right? 20% of your customers are going to keep coming back over and over and over again, right?
Yeah.
And then of course the inverse applies as well, right? The 80% of the customers are going to come in and never come back on a monthly basis, right? They're going to come in, never come back, or maybe come back once a year or something like that, right? The people that come in consistently are going to make 80% of your money, and that's only about 20% of your customers. And this applies to the roadways, right? You can be driving, 80% of the accidents out there are going to be caused by 20% of the drivers.
It's true.
Right. So this rule is just kind of a life. It's kind of a universe thing, right, of how it works. But that also applies to individuals wanting to create a business, right? 100% are going to try, 80% are going to fail, and only 20% are going to make it. So how are you going to become a 20%er, right? How are you going to break from that 20% to become 1%er, right? Where are you going to get to? How are you going to build? a lot of this hinges on yourself. And some things the market can handle. It's the market, right? You look at realtors, and in 2008, the market crashed. You had some realtors that are making $1 million a year. Now, even top performers are looking to make 50, 60K a year, right? I see people trying to sell to realtors all day long. It's a bad market to sell to. They don't have money to spend, right? That's a lot of agency owners.
One thing that I noticed since the housing, since it kind of, it started to boom back in, especially out here in Nashville, man, I think I seen a thing the other day. Nashville's like the number 3 growingest city in America right now. The housing boom is coming back, and as great as it is for the economy and as great as it is for commerce, it seems like everybody started jumping into being a real estate. Well, I'm going to be a real estate agent. I'm going to be a real estate agent. I'm going to be a real estate. Like, I can count on, both hands and feet the number of friends I've got that have jumped into being, trying to be a real estate agent within the last, 5 to 10 years. Not even that long, probably 5 or 6 years, really. A couple of them are doing it. They're not by no means a super top producer per se. I know one lady, I know in, her market, she's usually popping up somewhere in the top 50 to top 30. I mean, there's just a marketplace flooded with real estate agents right now.
Here's the funny thing about that. 80-20 rule applies to them too, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to have, out of that 100% there, 80% of them are going to be performing very poorly, right? Which means that they don't have money to spend. So why are you hitting them up trying to sell to them marketing solutions, right? The other 20%, they're all-stars. They're doing great. But guess what? They have more leads than they can handle. They don't need you. Yeah. Why can I sell to them? Your job would be to locate those 20% and convince them why they need your services. But at the same time, first of all, you got to wade through a huge market to try to hit that 20%. And then when you get there, they're like, hey, I already generate leads. I got leads I can't even handle. I got to pass my leads off to someone else already. And so guess what? You end up closing 1%.
Yeah.
And that's just how it goes. And for those that are willing to put in the time and effort, that 1% could be a lot, right? You can talk to 100 people a day, make 1 sale, right? You can talk to 40 people a day, make 2 sales a week, right? And you could be okay, but you're gonna go through a lot of headache to get there.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Know who your market is. Me personally, I'd rather sell when it comes down to consulting services that I do on the side. I'd rather have one consultant deal make me $60,000 a year than to have 60 clients that pay me $1,000 a year. Right? That's just what it goes. So now I know that I can spend my time here, and my performance is going to be a lot better because I'm dealing with one person, one industry, one company. Right? Yeah. I have five companies that I do that. Right? And they pay anywhere from 60 or 40, 60 to $100,000 a year, and you have 5 clients. Yeah, I mean it adds up.
Oh yeah,
off of 5 clients, I see people out there. They're trying to sell a service that's $1,000 a month, and after all is said and done, their profit after they put in ad budget, after they put in different things, they make maybe $250 to $500 a month on that. It takes a lot of their time to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
So now they can't prospect as much, right? And now they're working for less than minimum wage.
Yeah, and in this lifestyle, it's very easy to get caught up into it and fall into that category, man. I know I've seen it happen time and time again, especially a lot of, contractors try to get started up, man. They end up doing the majority of the work themselves, and, nothing's really changed. It's like they change jobs. But man, I'm very glad you've been here, man. You've definitely provided some interesting outlooks on things, especially for me and my viewers. Um, Man, I do want to talk about that a little bit. I do want to offer my congratulations on recently being married. Congratulations, welcome to the married life.
Thank you, Sean.
Um, and we were talking about at the beginning of this podcast. You got a new company fixing to launch next month, the Problem Solver, man. Tell us a little bit about that, man. What do you get going on there?
So that is more unique opportunity. So I've been providing very high scale consulting to help companies run more. And these are bigger companies. These are companies that are doing millions in revenue. And so now I'm actually going full launch and bringing on a team of people that are going to help businesses run more smoothly. And then on top of that, I'm adding a new service in the middle of that, so that companies that cannot afford the $100,000 price tag that comes with my consulting services, those that maybe they're running on slim margins, maybe they can't afford it. We go in and we're going to do an audit of their current expenses, all these bills that they pay, and we look to cut their costs for them. And then we take a percentage of what we were able to save them. So this varies greatly between industries, right? So, I mean, if you look at a large manufacturing plant, and they're like, oh, no, I mean, we're running pretty smooth already. We say, hey, let's just take a look at some of your expenses. And whether they're going to utilize our services for the upsell or not, it doesn't matter, because we work into this company. We're like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We can do an audit. It's going to take about 2 weeks to do an audit, renegotiate terms with vendors and all these different avenues that they're spending money at. We cut their costs. For a very large company, it's very easy to save them $100,000 a month. You're saving them six figures. And then you take 50% of that. So now we're looking at $50,000 fees a month on a monthly basis for a 5-year contract. We go in there and let's say now they saved $100,000, but they're paying us $50,000. So all in all, they've added $50,000 a month to their bottom line. Mm-hmm. Now we can get the upsell and work with them on a deeper level for that $100,000. That's another upsell. And we're making $50,000. So even if they choose to not work with us, we're still making plenty of money from them.
Right? There you go, man.
So this is what we're doing. I am giving people a business opportunity with this to go in and prospect companies, because ads are very difficult to work on a company of these magnitude, because the CEOs of these companies, they're not sitting there watching Facebook all day, right? So running Facebook ads is okay. They're not sitting there watching TV. So running an ad on TV is like, okay. You're not going to see a bigger return on investment. So I'm bringing people along that want to come in and make a nice killing doing this, right? To be a part of the business, to essentially own part of their sales. Now, obviously, I only want people that are willing to work hard at what they do. The opportunity is a lot of it is focused on marketers in general, because a lot of times they hit up companies and businesses. This works for small and big businesses, by the way. But what we can do is we can partner up, and let's say they're trying to close a marketing deal at $2,000 a month for a client. And the client's like, oh, I mean, $2,000 a month. Yeah, I just can't afford that right now. Sorry. So they're able to refer back and say, hey, tell you what if we can have a company save you some money, see if we can increase your bottom line, and then we'll revisit this later, right? They put us in touch. We're able to save them some money. Sometimes it's not at all. Sometimes it's 10%. Sometimes it's 20% of their expenses. It's not linear, right? It just depends on where they're currently at, what they're currently doing. And we're able to go and save them money. So now that marketer can call them back and say, hey, listen, you save some money. They're like, well, yeah, now we're saving like $3,000 a month on our bills. So now, guess what? They can afford that $2,000 a month. So the marketers are able to come in for free on that, or they're able to come in at a level where they actually get some profit share from that too. So it is another business opportunity. I would say if you come in on a business level, that would, the investment that comes in with that, it's not little, but neither is the payout if you put the time and effort into doing it. So it's all prospecting and knowing where to prospect, knowing how to get in touch with people. There's some cold calling possibly involved. It depends on how you want to go about it, right? But here's the thing: if you come in at a 50% profit share level, that's like $9K, right? You get 50% of what you're able of the fee, right? So let's say you go in and you prospect out one client, and you turn that into a savings of $100,000 a month. Our fee is $50,000 a month, which means that from that one client, you make $25,000 per month. Now that's not typical, obviously, right? Because some are going to save $10,000 a month, some are going to save $13,000, $80,000. Some are going to be in the millions, depending on how big that company is, right? Mm-hmm. But this is for people that really want something. I am requiring an investment for this because I'm not about to waste my time on people that don't want to perform. They're going to be given an opportunity and they sit on it. So what I found is that whenever you do charge for business opportunities such as this, there's going to be a lot of people that are like, oh, investment, no thank you. Nope, not at all. Not going to do it. Hey, that's fine. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, why am I going to invest in you?
Exactly, man. It thins the herd out before the herd gets too thick.
Exactly. So those that are willing to come on, if they're willing to drop a $9,000 on that, hey, more than likely they're going to be willing to bust their butt and make something happen.
Yeah, definitely. Right. If only to make that $9,000 back. $9,000, man. That's talking money.
Hey, like they say, man. Pardon the language, but money talks, bullshit walks.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So,
well, Richard, man, it's been great having you here, buddy. That sounds like a really cool opportunity for a lot of folks. I wish you the best of luck with it, man. Hope to see big things for you in the future. You're already doing pretty good for yourself, it seems like to me. Man, it's been a pleasure talking with you this evening. I appreciate you taking some time out of your Sunday evening and, either recording the game or putting the game on pause or something like that to sit down with me and go over all this, man. And, man, I look forward to working with you in the future, man.
Hey, absolutely. And tell you what, something special just for your viewers and listeners here. If they would like to jump on, anybody that gets this can reach out to me directly. And I'll drop 25% off of any investment for them.
Cool.
On the whole tier. So
cool. Well, guys, y'all heard it here first, man. Holler at Richard, and he will go over the details with you, man, and get you set up. Richard, man, have a great rest of the evening, man. Get back to your wife and enjoy some time with her. And man, I will see you in the future, buddy.
I will be seeing you. I'll probably be gone for a couple of weeks. I'll be headed out to London. So I'll tell you guys, whenever you guys are ready, hit me up. I'll still be available because the honeymoon doesn't mean work stops completely. Right? So I'll tell you guys what, I wish everybody the best of luck on all your listeners. I wish them all the best of luck here. And if you guys want to really come in and do something big, hey, hit me up. I might have other stuff for you too.
Cool, man. Man, have a great evening, man. It's been fun talking to you, and we'll see you later, buddy.
Talk soon, man.